Okay, well, one more for tonight. I'm pretty tired, but there are a couple of things I realise. And one is that I'm not clamping the results of these spline samples, which I would usually do for colours, because the splines may bleed above 1 or below 0. I've used these splines, this sort of formulation of splines, to get smooth graduation of colours in the past. And I suppose that maybe I have been careful in my selection of them. I'm hoping that clamping the results of these samples won't result in harsh edges in gradients. But it's a problem that I have here. It's certainly something I need to do. And I'm going to spell it out, am I? Well, I'd be curious to compare the results of clamping and not clamping. I think I have to clamp anyway, but there are things I would be curious to see this sort of set of results for, and I think that I'm going to go to the trouble. Number of recursions, PM matrix, and the thing. This, microsecs. Excuse me while I just have a little think. Well, I'm just thinking about what I'm going to display, and what I'm going to display is something like this. Debug, right. Render gradient. Render gradient. Rex plus string of num-recursions, segs plus string of, and this is going to be project corner set corners count, and is it going to be -1? Yeah, because 2 corners means 1 segment. Really, it's the segments, I think. I think of the segments as being the significant thing. Like, it's the number of segments to the power of the number of recursions that will tell me how many lines are being drawn. So, that's a little bit of information. Recursions, segments. And I suppose time plus truncated float of v. And then I will say debug right, just to pop things on a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to save that. I'm going to compile it. I'm still compiling with the debugger off, which I'm just going to keep doing. It may crash. If it crashes, then what I'm expecting is an index out of range complaint from my line drawing routine. Here we are in my beautiful thing, not getting many frames a second because I'm doing too many recursions. Now, my gradient is this. So, I'm just gonna... Did you catch that? Going to render it. I'm doing 10 recursions there, so took 6 seconds. First off, let me check this. Yeah, release. That took considerably longer than it did last time. I did a render very similar to that. It took 4. Anyway, so I'm going to scrub this because I want to do a couple of specific comparisons. This one is no clamping. Now, let's have a little look at what it actually produced. Okay, this is the sort of thing I was getting before. It's a bit of a mess. The upper colour seems more or less right, but you can see, or I can see, all this green stuff. That's one colour component leaking into the next, I think, because they have values larger than 1, get multiplied by 255, and end up with more than a byte. So this sort of thing, ANDed together, is it? Or ORed together? Ends up with rubbish. So, that's me recorded it like that. This, nice but no thanks. So, now I'm going to get rid of that. Here, I'm going to get rid of that at least, because I'm not going to use a colour. I am just going to clamp it all. Even if I'm going to use limit, I'm not going to use that anymore. So I have these two situations, and also probably I should just define R and G and B out here. I bet I've got R. Let me think. Right, this is going to be a float. Yeah. Yeah. G float, comma, B float, comma, alpha float. I can't use those, can I? The only reason I feel silly about it is, never mind, is because I'm using so many globals. Now here, ccall will get assigned, and it will be to unsigned int of red times 255.0, etc., etc. Shift left 25. You know what? It's not red anyway, it's alpha. Shift left 24. Unsigned int of red times 255.0 dot shift left 16. And it's ORing it, isn't it? Yeah. Am I even right to say that? Or unsigned int green times 255.0 shift left 8, or unsigned int blue times 255.0, and that's it, I think. Yeah, blue times 255. And in here, I still do this, or something kind of like it. But it's R equals C grad alpha S value 1. Am I going to type all this out? Or am I just going to go for starters that alpha red equals green equals blue equals thank you, thank you, thank you, and value, what on earth was it? GV. Okay, alpha red green blue, alpha red green blue. Now, clamping. If I was to run this again, I expect exactly the same results, or virtually. I'm doing it just in a slightly different way. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do exactly that. I'm going to run it again. And I'm going to just record that for what it's worth, because I'm about to add in the limiting, and I'm going to do it with the functions first. Okay, give me the same again. 10 recursions is a few. Okay. No clamping, but clamping structure. That's a silly way of putting it, hopefully I'll remember. A little bit faster, is it? Yeah, a little bit faster in both ways. And I expect I've got the same result, yes. Glad. But look at that, I mean, the initting the array was slightly faster. So it's all just not completely predictable, not surprising when it's millionth of a second. Okay. Now this time I'm just going to close it, and it's going to be different. I'm going to say equals glimit, and that just glimits it, and the default values are 0 to 1. So Okay, so the next test, I'll just write it out immediately. Clamping using glimit function. C. This is the first time I'm hoping to get an actual sort of reasonable readout. If it doesn't look correct with the clamping, then the next thing that I look at is the gradient and gradient set class to make sure that they are computing the gradients at the correct times. Virtually identical by the looks of things. Yeah, is that right? 6.3 to 6.4, yeah, it's slightly faster. Faster. Okay, I should really not care about calling functions, should I? And it looks correct. In fact, now it begins to look beautiful the way I imagined it should. Sorry for extreme reaction, but yeah. Now one thing that I did in this render, because I was playing with it, trying to figure out, is I set this high to 500. Now I'm going to set it back to -1. I'm going to apply it, I'm going to render it again. For one thing, I'm going to make a little note here. Same, but with finding highest value. I'm not sure that my finding highest value, I'm going to save this as what? Associated output notes. Okay, so I have this at the highest value. Go for it. What you got for me? A little bit slower. Why didn't I get a readout? Oh, I did, it's just there's no space at the end. I'll have to stick a little... What's this? C here. Virtually the same, didn't take long. Oh, that is the actual bit though, and that took a bit longer. A little bit longer. And how did it do? Yeah, problem I had before. This is what I is that what I expect give me the most detail actually really needs a better option than that. It is actually working, it's just I fail to imagine how high the peaks are. You know? I want to do another experiment where, for one thing, I reduce the number of recursions and just do the same again. I should get a much faster response. Yeah. Yeah. And I will say same, fewer recursions. And just out of curiosity, having everything else the same, do I do anything? I just can't imagine it. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. this is giving me an even spread across the... Now, what I suppose I kind of imagine myself being able to do something like that, and saying still give me an even spread but weight the top of it more, and just well, you know, I'll check this time, but I'm not... I would expect this to be exactly the same, and if it was, well, you know, not exactly the same. I won't even bother giving it a new title, I'll just do that. Yeah, very similar indeed. And what was the result of that? Well, not that predictable. I'm going to have to start saving multiple images, haven't I? Really. What happens if I do something wild? Like, this is part of the point of this. Render me that. Matey. Yeah, quick. Okay, well... I wonder, because I can immediately change the sort of the overall outlook of it by saying, yeah, just give it a limit of 500. Do the same again. It's reasonably okay. And yeah, and it's got the bits of green in it. It doesn't look, but that's okay. I'm just going to do another render, more sensible. I will have the green, but I'll make an orange in there. And I'll go for something darker. Dark purple. And where did I say that topped out 500? Well, I'll see what it looks like there. And soon I will have to try and render an animation. Okay, this is looking as I hoped it would look. I feel like I have much more control over the subtlety of it. There are no visible lines, even though there are lines there. I wonder what is next for this process, because what would be nice would be able to get a preview of it. At the moment, the best I can do, and I think I am doing it. Yeah, wow. Oh no, it's okay. The best I can do as a preview for the gradient is with using the additional draw mode. Okay, for the first time, I will add a 2 to that. It's very, so this, what was it? Oh, no, don't open that. Just show me image 2. The problem with image 2? This is this. Yeah, well, I can see that it is working. I can see the brighter highlights from the white. Now, I wonder the speed of it seems fine. 9 recursions with whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments. What was that last one took? 1.3 seconds to draw the curve. Everything else negligible, half a second. I should try something else. But really I should not try something else. I should call this a success. I should render an animation with a changing set of gradients. I like this color scheme and I want to render this with it, I think. I wonder if I'm going to take this down by who knows what, 2400. Render over that one. And what am I looking at? This. This is much more subtle than what I was getting. Much more cloud and frond-like. These tiny highlights just would have been so difficult to get the full range of. Yeah, much more three-dimensional looking. And as I kind of had hoped, it's possible to make the lines pretty much disappear. I want to render an animation of this. There's much to be done to the editor, so I have to be very careful that I don't just get addicted to making, like, you know. I'll just go straight over image 1, do it. Oh. Okay, well, that is an interesting thing. What time am I at? 27. Lots of frame drops from the microphone. Well now, okay, well I'm going to switch to debug build and I will run it. Now I did say that if I got an error, then what I'd be expecting was that it was an array overflow. It happened when I clicked render, so it could have been in one of several places. And I won't have been able, it won't have, I wonder, well, let's just have a look. Recursion is still at 10, I'll take that down to 8. This recursion's at 5, can go down to 4. So, something caused it to go unhappy there, and what was it? Oops, I'll remove that. I had it in a great big crazy mess. This'll do. Array index out of range. Okay. Whereabouts? Hereabouts. In a first pixel arrangement. Okay. Okay, well let me think for a moment. There must be situations where the first pixel ends up off the side of the screen, off the side of the display, and I'm going to have to print out data offset again. Data offset is an unsigned int, is it? Somehow it would be possible to figure that out. Oh look, it's gone through all those recursions. this rubbish. Output image response on render. Sorry, I'm getting distracted looking at all the little details. Anyway, the main thing I'm interested in at this moment is what on earth data offset is. Just an int, so it could be negative. So I'm going to have to get to display what data offset is. Okay, well, even so, this has been good. There's a lot has been sorted. It might write a lot of things before it gets to... Never mind. A great many things. Let's say... At least see if I can find out which end of the array it's scooting off. And if I can find that out, then I will call it a day. It seems like that problem is easy to replicate, but we'll see. I maybe just got lucky twice there. So this is going too slow. This I could take down as well. And what was it I did? I just twizzled it around till it was spiking out all over the place. And I clicked render. Okay, well, that's a different sort of problem. It's got caught in a while loop. I'll bet it has got caught in a while loop. And there's no... Oh. Okay, well... It's not going to be completely straightforward to find this. Oh, look at that. $13,000 entries. $2 million. Like it should have been. Like why is the cursor still there? I don't actually want it to stop just yet. What I want to do is have the calculator to hand and say 1920 times 1080 equals, well, what do you know? It gets to a data offset which is too big. How on earth did it manage that? Okay, well, I am going to have to leave it at that for now anyway. You may stop. 35 minutes. Next time I will solve this problem, hopefully, or over the next couple of videos.